Welcome to the Thursday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Thursday morning. Hey Kal-El, how's it going? Dacapolion, how's it going? That's right, Friday Senior? Friday Senior's en route. Tomorrow, folks. How's everybody doing? A quick thank you to the offline follows. What a catch. Agnostic Sister. Banana Raider. And the Latte. Thank you so much for the offline follows. I appreciate that. Thank you. Bama Raider. Sorry about that. Alright, let me make sure we got everything going. We do have quite the amount of... quite the amount of stuff to go through. Doing well, unfortunately, as usual, this is my morning prep for work. It's time for work. Oof. This is my morning prep for work. This is what I do before work. Pretty good over here. Hope you're well. I'm hanging in there. I think I got everything. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I got everything. Hey, Darknet. Ah, I see you have the, laser eyes. Yeah, I was working on that last night. So, folks, apparently Twitch is allowing me to, well, allowing us to, give out, I think, 5 free emotes for just following. So if you haven't followed already, hit that follow button, and you get 5 free emotes as well. That's going to clear up space as well to add more emotes to, what is it called? The BTTV and then the other thing, which I have yet to work on. Sorry about that, I just had to do a quick dunk on Jordan Peterson. Such an asinine take. Like, nothing Giga triggers me when someone does like such an unbelievably asinine take on climate change. Alright, folks. We've got quite a few things to cover, and I guess I'll just start with that since I just finished it. Can anybody tell me what's wrong with this picture? Like this, I saw this morning and I got insta giga triggered. Can somebody point out the problem with this? Damn, I never thought of that. Checkmate. Can somebody point out the problem with this tweet? Seems totally legit. So, okay, several, hey, Skidadeer, how's it going? Several problems here. Number one, this is a massive false equivalency. A stock, trying to predict stocks are nowhere near the same as having, climate models. Okay? These things are not the same. Furthermore, I made a whole like tweet about it. Hold on, because this kind of this giga triggered me. These things are not remotely the same. A false equivalency, and you know that because you're supposedly educated. Maybe instead of cleaning your room, maybe you should clean up your argumentation. Just to be clear, he's trying to make the point that climate models are unreliable. Basically, if you had bothered to read the IPCC report, they explain what goes into it, how these models have improved and in what ways, and how they reached the conclusions they did. Well, if you let climate change modelers model the future of a single stock for 5 years, for 1 year, but the entire climate, which is everything for 80 years, how is that possible? Flexing that IPCC knowledge, yeah, exactly. I mean, like, this is the problem when people look up to someone like this and they make such an asinine take without zero knowledge about what they're talking about. This guy has absolutely no knowledge of what he's talking about, or maybe he does and is just being dishonest. Because like, I have a hard time believing that someone who has been through rigorous academia would make these asinine takes. It's on purpose, which is why I used the specific term dishonest. Hey, it's Jap. Oh no, when a doctor can't even stick to their profession, compares things that are outside their doctorate. Yeah, just to be clear, Jordan Peterson is not a number 1 economist, number 2 a climate scientist. Like telling me that you can, telling me that there's even a remote comparison between like trying to equivocate the stocks, which are at the whims of basically feelings. That's literally what it is. A stock could absolutely collapse tomorrow based on feelings versus very carefully drawn up models for climate, because that's like a whole bunch that's wildly different. A billionaire can't just write out a tweet and then the climate goes like and then the climate tanks, right? That's just not how that works. I trust the lobster daddy. Hey, Denarchist, JPB is a disingenuous actor. There's that. Yeah, it's gotta be dishonesty. Because there's no way that someone who has been through the rigors of academia, like he has, which I'm sure he has, can make these type of claims without at least being like, hey, you know what? Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, so I'm just gonna not say anything. Or maybe I'll read into it, I'll evaluate the models and data and how they got to the conclusions that they did, and then make a take. No, this guy's not interested in that. But he knows that that's the process. He knows how to properly evaluate information, or at least he should, which only leaves me to believe that this is just pure dishonesty. And he knows that. And he knows that. He's got to know that. There's just no way. There's just no way that someone who has been in academia for this long can't be like, can't properly evaluate information. I'm sorry. I just can't bring myself to believe that. Anyways, that's what Giga triggered me this morning. I saw that, I woke up to that, and I was like, no way. Oh my god, I've been avoiding going into like Jordan Peterson's Twitter, and then this happened. Hey doc, imagine a Jungian psychologist not knowing about the philosophy of science. How could they have such silly analysis? I wonder. Anyways, yeah, that's my thing that Giga triggered me this morning. Exactly, Jordan knows it, and he knows how, and he knows we know he's just being a dishonest actor. Exactly. There's just no way. I'm sorry. There's just no way. No way, no way, no way, no way. Like, this isn't like a... It's nice he gave us something to feast on. Bless Lobster Dad. This is literally Jordan doing the how is the planet heating up if it still snows? Yeah, if you want to break it down to that, to that degree, then yeah, it's something it's something like that. Yeah, it's analogous to saying, well, how could it be that the planet is warming? I mean, clearly, it is self-evident that there is snow. Buongiorno, you filthy leftist. How's it going, Surfer McGoody? Just sad boomer shit? No. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. Because this guy knows exactly what he's doing. This guy knows exactly what he's doing. So yeah, no, I reject that 100%. Base of PJ. I reject that 100%. He knows what he's doing. There's no way that somebody like this, who knows how to evaluate data. Hey. Bat Manicure, thank you for the follow on Twitter. Appreciate that. Yeah, there's no way that somebody who has been in academia this long is just doing boomer takes. Quite good getting back into the workout routine, which is wonderful, and otherwise, you know, the trying not to be doomer. Oh man, whew, is this, oh man, well, I feel you, but, the next, like, hour and a half is about to get oh god. I'll try to make it as chill as possible, let's put it that way. I'll try to make it as chill as possible. It's so hard not to swallow the doomer pill. Yeah. It is. Especially, like, I honestly think that the thing that might push me into the, like, complete doomer, complete 100% doomer pill is if the Supreme Court ends up saying that there's no such thing as congressional powers to regulate. If the Supreme Court decides that there's that the Congress doesn't have any regulatory powers or any essentially enforcement powers through like things like the EPA, then that might be enough. That might do it. If the Supreme Court decides that like things like the EPA don't have the actual regulatory powers that they need, and completely essentially kneecap every single, in other words, it would cause a domino effect to essentially kneecap every single regulatory body, such as the EPA, such as the SEC. Then yeah, that might do it. The horse-sized black pills are ink. Yeah, everything is pretty doomer this week. That's true. Hey Thundera, but we're gonna try to keep it chill. We're gonna try to keep it chill. Anyways, thank you, Jordan Peterson, for this excellent meme this morning. Excellent meme. Yeah, that's right, Dakapolion. We're gonna go over that in just a second. Hey, Astros. I'm sorry. There's like a couple of things going on here at the same time. Hi, how's it going? I wonder if anyone understands what CRT and what it's used or not. Everybody has a different, like, definition. I think it's cathode ray tubes. There you go. Currently in a meeting? No problem. So I guess I'll start off with good news, right? Merck's COVID pill approved by the UK regulator, a potential game changer in fighting the pandemic. An antiviral pill found to be effective at treating COVID-19 has been approved by Britain's medicine regulator on Thursday in a potentially game-changing way of treating the virus. Britain's medicine regulator said it had approved the world's first antiviral oral pill known as I'm not going to be able to pronounce that, Molnupiravir, having it found to be safe and effective at reducing the risk of hospitalization and death in people with mild to moderate COVID-19 who are at an increased risk of developing severe disease. Britain is the first country to approve the drug. Hey, here's an interesting thought. I'm on a doomer break since this morning. Yeah, we're trying to keep it chill. I mean, it's gonna be difficult, okay? So here's the thing. The doom news is going to happen, but I'm gonna try to deliver it in a chill way. I don't know if that's gonna work, but anyways, I was told that if we moved to a universal healthcare system, that there'd be no innovations. I mean, where would the incentive be to develop new drugs? That's so weird. That's so weird. That's so weird. Developed jointly by Ridgeback Biotherapeutics and Merck, the pill works by interfering with the virus's replication. This prevents it from multiplying, keeping virus levels low in the body, and therefore reducing the severity of the disease. The UK's Medicine and Healthcare Products Regulatory Agency said it can also be administered outside of a hospital. Nice. The MHRA said the decision follows a rigorous review of its safety and quality and effectiveness and made it the first oral antiviral for the treatment of COVID to be approved. Nice. Based on clinical trial data, the oral pill is most effective when taken during the early stages of infection. As such, the British regulator recommended its use as soon as possible following a positive COVID test and within 5 days of onset of symptoms. The antiviral pill has been authorized for use in people who have mild to moderate COVID and at least one risk factor for developing severe illness such as obesity, diabetes mellitus, or heart disease, or anyone over the age of 60. The UK's Health Secretary, Sajid Javid, said it was a historic day for the country. Sorry if I butchered that name. As the UK is now the first country in the world to approve an antiviral that can be taken at home for COVID. This will be a game changer for the most vulnerable and immunosuppressed who will soon be able to receive groundbreaking treatment. Yeah, but please tell me how, just by having a universal healthcare system, all incentive for developing new drugs is gone. Nice, Ajab. I'm never on Twitch when I work. Me neither. Me neither. The person that you see lurking around in different chat rooms in the Majority Report and other chats, that's not me. I'm working very hard, always, at every point, from 11:30 to 8 p.m. Eastern, right? I'm never, ever on Twitch when I'm at work. Never. Our NHS controls medication and treatments. Yeah, exactly. The National Health Service. I believe a good healthcare system should prevent illness, not let it happen. Wow, what an amazing take. No way, really? Wow. I'm obviously memeing. Of course, Astro. Yes, absolutely. A good healthcare a good healthcare system should prevent illness, not let it happen. It should be there for people, and it should be there as a universal option. The incentive should be treating an illness. Am I wrong? Normally, I mean, like in a ideal world, that would be all the incentive you need. But you know, money. I think I fixed this error on my PC. Funnily enough, I just had to open my PC case and unplug and replug my GPU power socket. Hey, nice. Watching Twitch is for capitalists? Uh-oh. Oof. Sorry. The MHRA chief executive, June Rain, said the pill will greatly facilitate the treatment of COVID, a virus that has led to hospitalization of millions of people around the world and immense stress on health services and healthcare staff. Over 5 million people have now died of COVID globally. Yikes. Following a rigorous review of the data by our expert scientists and clinicians, we are satisfied that Lagevrio is safe, which is the, I guess, brand name, is safe and effective for those at risk for developing severe COVID disease and have granted its approval. Lagevrio is another therapeutic to add to our armory against COVID-19. It is also the world's first approved antiviral for this disease that can be taken by mouth rather than administered intravenously. This is important because it means it can be administered outside the hospital setting before COVID has progressed to a severe stage. Nice. A USDA Administration Advisory Committee is scheduled to evaluate the safety and efficacy of data of the pill on November 30th and decide whether or not to approve it for emergency use authorization in the US. Right now we're on pace to have 10 million courses ready before the end of this year, more than double that next year, Mark CEO Robert Davis told the Squawk Box. Nice. American Ridgeback Biotherapeutics said internal data indicated that the risk of hospitalization or death from COVID was cut in half by this molnupiravir. Patients take 4 pills twice a day for 5 days. Merck shares with... Yeah, I don't care about that. Nice. So possibly a new treatment. That being said, that does not take away the importance of prevention, which is free and widely available, which is the vaccine. Outside of her office, I worked for her son and cut my arm in his apartment while she was there. Oof. Ouch. That being said, that doesn't take away from the preventative measures that are vaccines, which are widely available, free. You should do that. She did not charge for me for her services, but this is good news. Switching gears back to Florida, of course. Ron DeSantis calls for new Florida police force to go after election crimes because reasons. Yeah. Because reasons. We are having a campaign here to have HPV injections for kids to cut cancer. Wow, I didn't even know that was a thing. I didn't even know there was HPV injections. What did DeSantis do this time? Oh, nothing. Just his usual authoritarian tendencies coming to the surface. Creating solutions to problems that don't exist. Creating solutions to problems that don't exist for the purpose of elevating his national profile, because I believe he's getting ready to run in 2024. That's all he's doing. This is all just political theater in an attempt to raise his national profile so that he could run in 2024, I believe. Governor Ron DeSantis vowed on Wednesday to create a fully staffed... Oh yeah, because that's what Florida needs, right? Talk about... this is like the massive meme that Republicans talk about all the time. Oh yeah, we gotta be fiscally responsible. We got to make sure that, we're not conservatives have this constant talking point. I meant to say not just Republicans, but just conservatives in general. Because now I have to lump in people like Manchin, so I have to be careful. Conservatives always argue like, oh yeah, government is always unnecessarily spending, and we government spending is too much, and we over bloated, blah 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 blah. He's creating an entirely fully staffed statewide law enforcement office whose sole job is to crack down on election crimes. Yeah. To his far right base, yet the left is authoritarian. Yeah, exactly. Human papillomavirus causes cervical cancer in young women. That is true. I just didn't know there was like a shot or vaccine or whatever injection for it. I didn't know that. How is that not a waste of resources? It is, because of course in Florida, mind you, this guy in November, he was saying that Florida actually had one of the most smoothest elections, which is actually true. Florida had its elections ran pretty smooth. Results were pretty available quickly. There was like no issue to my knowledge, especially when it comes to the infamous Broward County. But there was literally no problems whatsoever. More calls and side note, I wish I could wear my tap shoes to work. Well, have a good one, Surfer McGritty. Appreciate you stopping by. Yeah, so basically, solving problems that don't exist, wasting resources, while simultaneously claiming that Florida's had one of the smoothest 2020 elections. Yeah. DeSantis, who's running for re-election, is considered a potential 2024 presidential contender, is also pressing state lawmakers to increase the criminal penalty for violating new restrictions on collecting mail-in ballots. He also wants to enact a tight new 100-day deadline on when local election officials must scrub their voter rolls for those who died, moved, or been convicted of a felony. The new law enforcement office will cost nearly $6 million, according to a document obtained by Politico. I guarantee you this, the first person that gets caught, no one's going to want to do it again after that. Totally not authoritarian. Okay, that's cool. That's not a problem. Sure. So I would suspect, I wonder how that's going to pan out when the first person to get caught is going to be like a Republican. I wonder how that's going to pan out. Exactly, he's making a boogeyman. If I remember correctly, Florida did a massive rehaul of their election system after the whole Gore-Bush fiasco. True. Poor people and minorities live in Broward, so that's a problem for DeSantis and conservatives. Yeah, well, to be fair, in terms of like the elections, Broward County actually did very well when it came to running the smooth elections. I think there was an issue last time where they had to like redo a whole bunch of stuff, but other than that, this year in particular, Broward County was completely on the ball, and no issues whatsoever. They just smooth, everything smooth as butter this year. And but yes, you are correct. A lot of poor people and minorities live in Broward County. Yeah, not a single problem, but apparently, Ron DeSantis feels like he needs to waste $6 million creating a task force for a problem that doesn't exist. I guarantee you this, the first person that gets caught, no one is going to want to do it again after that. I wonder how he's going to feel if that first person happens to be like a Republican, which I'm not going to say all instances of voter fraud are from Republicans, but good majority of them are. Good majority of them are Republicans trying to test the system. And they get caught. Hey, Alio, how's it going? West Palm Beach billed the event billed as a press conference, but featured dozens of DeSantis supporters who loudly applauded the governor. Yeah, I don't know what they're applauding for. At one point, the crowd cheered, of course, "Let's go, Brandon," a conservative rallying cry against President Joe Biden. The governor also said he wants GOP-controlled legislators to put additional restrictions on the use of drop boxes. "I don't even think we should have drop boxes," said DeSantis, even though he signed the bill 2 years ago that first authorized the use in the state. I don't think we should have drop boxes, but, that's the thing that I allowed. Nice meme. Nice meme. Hey, Heat, how's it going? Wait, why? Yeah, it says Friday Junior. The day before Friday. Wait, did I put Junior Friday or Friday Junior? Oh man, did I mess that up? Friday Junior. Okay. I need another day to get packed up. It can't be Friday. Well, good thing it's not. Good thing it's Friday Junior. Friday Eve. Maybe I should use that. Friday Eve. How did Let's Go Brandon even be a thing? Well, I mean, it's a childish way of coping. That's what it is. It's really it's a silly meme. It's a silly meme. The Republican governor's push just comes months after he successfully got state legislators to enact a controversial new voting law that adds new restrictions on collection of mail-in ballots, including clampdown on when and where drop boxes could be located. It also comes as some Republicans in the state, echoing former President Trump's baseless election fraud claims, are pushing for an audit of the 2020 election over DeSantis' objections. Wait, how are they pushing for an audit in Florida where there was no problems whatsoever? I mean, these people are just living in, mind you, these are elected state officials, okay? These are elected GOP state officials. I think it started with people cheering for NASCAR. Yeah, okay, so the reporter said that that's what they were cheering, but the actual crowd was just saying F Joe Biden, from my understanding. It's a bad meme. Yeah, these people are just not living in reality. The new election law has drawn multiple federal lawsuits from civil rights and voting rights groups to contend those restrictions unfairly discriminate against elderly voters, voters with disability, and minority voters. These additional proposals could throw out another hot-button issue into the upcoming regular session, where Florida legislators will be working on redistricting, abortion restrictions, and another battle with tech companies over data privacy. The session starts in January. Oh boy. I can't wait. Democrats who have little power to stop changes quickly condemned the governor's plans. State Representative Anna Eskamani, an Orlando Democrat, said on Twitter, more attacks on voting coming to Florida. Just like in 2020, we had an election last night in our state with no issues. Why does the governor keep creating partisan chaos? Why can't we just focus on problems like housing, hunger, taxes, and our environment, which is huge in Florida, and public transportation, which is, again, huge in Florida? One of the biggest changes contained in the new law was a 2-ballot limit on how many mail-in ballots someone could gather and turn in on behalf of the elderly or sick or disabled voters. Though there is an exception for immediate family members, this ban on ballot harvesting is a misdemeanor that DeSantis wants to increase to a felony. DeSantis also said that many local offices and local prosecutors do not either do not want or lack the expertise to investigate election crimes. Again, is there like a necessity for that? Is there like a rise in is there like a massive rise in election crime, whatever that means, or voter fraud or election fraud in Florida? No. The answer to that is no. Why are they pushing for an audit that in a state that Trump clearly won? Because they're living in an alternate reality. In their minds, Trump didn't win by the margin that he won. Trump won by millions. Okay? Trump won by millions. So definitely there's some votes that were skimped. Okay? I can't do it. Yeah, these people are living in some type of alternate reality, Dacapolion. DeSantis said that many local election offices and local prosecutors either do not want to or lack the expertise to investigate election crimes. Citation needed. This is just an outright conspiracy theory. In other words, he has no evidence to produce that. He has no evidence to back this claim. He's just making it up. In late September, the governor asked Florida Secretary of State Laura Lee to investigate whether Facebook interfered with the 2020 election, even though her office does not have any investigators. Wait, okay. Under the governor's proposal, Florida would create an Office of Election Crimes and Security that would have sworn law enforcement agents as well as other investigators to probe voter fraud and other election law violations. A 3-page outline obtained by Politico says the governor's election police force would cost about $5.7 million in the first year, have 52 employees, including 20 sworn law enforcement agents who would be based in Tallahassee and in 5 field offices. The breakdown of the governor's proposal also calls for uniform reporting of felony convictions to election supervisors, banning cities from used ranked voting, which is already banned for the state. Wait. And now a new deadline for determining voter eligibility. Local supervisors are already required to report to the state twice a year on how many voters they have removed in the previous 6 months. Wait, from banning cities from using ranked voting, like ranked choice voting? And I keep smoking more and more cabinets, but I haven't found an alternate dimension yet. No, you really need to take the Kool-Aid. You really need to take the Kool-Aid to go there. We can back up reasoning on why Joe Biden sucks. Also, F Joe Biden true. Sure we can. F Joe Biden true. They banned ranked choice voting? Yeah, that's what it sounds like. No offense, but Florida should not be a state, rather an Everglades National Park. True. I mean, that's what it was. Kool-Aid, that's racist. Are you okay? Wait, are you okay? Hold on. Hey, buddy. I will alleviate your concern trolling, okay? I will alleviate your concern trolling. Kool-Aid is a reference to the cult of Jim Jones, which wasn't even Kool-Aid. I think it was like Gatorade or something like that. Anyways, the point is, you get the reference. Flavor-Aid. Thank you, Gatorade. Yes. So yeah, take the Flavor-Aid, I guess. Yeah, it was a knockoff. Do you know who Bella Delphine is? I'm gonna guess this person will be banned within 5 minutes. No, I do not know who Bella Delphine is. And cyanide, that's right. Couldn't even get the real shit. True. I will alleviate your concern trolling by pointing you to the direction of the Jim Jones story. Anyways. Don't need a brand name where we're going, true. Leon County Supervisor of Elections, Mark Early, said in an email, "There is not much new here that we don't already do. Again, solving problems that don't exist." DeSantis' push for a second round of election law changes come even as the governor boasted a year ago that the state finally had vanquished a ghost of the 2000 presidential election recount that subjected the state to international ridicule. But an ever louder chorus of Republicans have called for a forensic audit. Again, I would like to stress that this is a Republican problem. And hand recount of Florida's election, even though Trump easily won the state over Joe Biden. Trump has not commented directly on Florida, but he has pushed for audits across the country, including Texas, Wisconsin, and Arizona. This past weekend, a longtime Trump ally and Florida resident, Florida man, Roger Stone, suggested that he may run against DeSantis as a libertarian candidate if he does not order an audit. Ah, man, I hope he does. Split the vote, please. Please split the vote. Just do that. Do Florida a favor. Please. Anyways, the TLDR, DeSantis is once again solving problems, providing solutions to problems that don't exist. Why is Stone even allowed to run? Good question. I don't know. Roger Stone versus DeSantis would be an interesting campaign to watch. It's just two clowns going at it. One more delusional than the other. However, it could be beneficial. Because it would split the vote. And Ron DeSantis didn't exactly win by a large majority in his election. So yeah, it would be perfect. It would actually be perfect. Never ever interrupt your enemy when they're making a mistake. In fact, I welcome it. I should specify from the outside it's in Florida, it's probably less funny. Yeah, true. TLDR, Ron DeSantis sucks, true. Wait, just make sure I get out of here first, Memo, okay? Yeah, so I highly recommend that, nobody stop that. If Roger Stone wants to run, let him. Just not the ability, and you don't get to make your own laws because you've proved you can't handle that responsibility. I mean, who bans ranked choice voting? Right. This is news to me. Okay? This is news to me. I did not know that Florida banned ranked choice voting. Very, very healthy, very good, very normal. What the heck? Ethiopia declares a state of emergency and calls on citizens to prepare to defend the capital. Ethiopia declared a state of emergency on Tuesday after the Tigray People's Liberation Front said they captured the town of Dessie and Kombolchia Kambocha in the Amara region, Al Jazeera reports. Jesus. Wow. Yikes. Did McAuffle run on the Biden spending package? No, I don't think that was their method of. That's not what they campaigned on. I think that they campaigned on. Ironically, they campaigned on the whole CRT thing. Hey, Chai Bureaucrat. But here we have President Manchin attempting to shift the blame to the spending package. Conservative Senator Joe Manchin, who has slowed down negotiations on the massive. Wait, hold on. No, that's incorrect. On a massive 1.7 trillion. Oh wait, over 10 years. That's massive. 1.7 trillion over 10 years. That's considered massive. I'm already triggered by this framing. Says the unbelievable Republican victories in Virginia statewide races Tuesday validate his concerns about inflation. Wait, what? That's not how that works. Oh my god. Okay. That's not how that works. Concerns about inflation and moving the Build Back Better Act too quickly through Congress. No, the exact opposite. How could you be so dense? How could you be so dense? And by the end of the decade, that'll be 1 year of military funding. That's right. It's the Hill. Okay. Well, then we gotta make sure that we navigate this one with responsibility. Manchin said the GOP gubernatorial race candidate, Youngkin's victory in a state that President Biden won by 10 points in 2020 also underscores the need for the House to pass the $1 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill, which progressives are holding up. Wrong. The Biden administration's original deal was that both bills pass. That's it. It's unbelievable to see what went on in Virginia, and not just from the governor's race, but all the way down that ticket. A good bit of change has happened. Expressing astonishment over Republican victories in races for governor, lieutenant governor, and attorney general. Okay, but, buddy, why did that happen? It turns out this was a verdict on your incompetencies, your party's incompetencies. That's you, buddy. Have some introspection. Okay? Have some introspection and think about why people got angry enough. Or why people weren't as willing to vote for Democrats. Why? Ask yourself why. Maybe it's because the party ran on a robust platform that promised X, Y, and Z. Okay? And then your surprise Pikachu face when none of those get delivered. And your surprise Pikachu facing when nothing gets delivered. In fact, you're part of the problem, my friend. You are the problem at this point. Let's start our own slogan, F. Joe Manchin. True. The pesky progressives never falling in line except that they do. Right, like it's always the progressives' fault, even though the progressives in this scenario were just trying to hold Biden to his original plan. They were just trying to do his original plan. That's it. And now you're surprised Pikachu facing because what? You're astonished that people didn't turn out to vote because you didn't give them something to vote for. Instead, you were just hanging on the 10 points in 2020. Like, listen, that was a one-trick pony. Okay, that only worked once. That's it. That was your Hail Mary. Okay, that was your Hail Mary. That was your Hail Mary. That was your one chance. People gave you that chance. And now you just basically told everybody to go F themselves. So yeah, that's maybe why you've taken crucial L's in some of these races. And to go a step further, this is going to be a window to what's going to happen in 2022. And then what? I just love this emote. I appreciate that. Thank you, sourcing. Ah, left flank bets got its own. Nice. I like it. I like it. I like it. I like it. The constituents are the donors. Yeah, it seems so. Especially with Joe Manchin. Especially with Joe Manchin. He cautioned that his Democratic colleagues need to take Tuesday's election results as a warning and proceed more carefully with the reconciliation package that Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and Speaker Pelosi are racing to pass as soon as possible. You can read so much into all of that last night. I think it should be a call to all of us have more attention, more attentive to the people back home. Yeah, no kidding. Hey, buddy. West Virginia is in dire straits when it comes to climate change, okay? West Virginia's infrastructure needs this. Who also noted the governor's race in New Jersey, a solidly Democratic state, was still too close to call. Yeah, the Democratic person ended up winning. I've been saying this for many, many months. People have concerns. Wait, who are these people? Wait, who are these people? A lot of the programs that are in the Build Back Better agenda, or the original Build Back Better agenda, are A, wildly popular, B, necessary. Climate change ain't real, my friend. My cool buddies told me so. True. West Virginia ain't gonna be effects, guys. We got the hills to defend from. Didn't coal miners just get effed over recently? Yes, I believe so. We can take it on with our muskets. True. Okay. Repeating his concerns about federal spending. That's interesting. So I'm sure that if I go back and look at your voting record, I'm going to find you very concerned about the $760 billion for the military, right? Because you're very concerned, it seems to me, about federal spending. So I'm gonna find that reflected when we talk about spending $9 trillion. In the same time, you were complaining about $3.5 trillion, which would then, to appease you, was negotiated again twice to 1.7. To you, that's massive, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to find you complaining about $9 trillion for the military budget, right? I'm gonna assume that if I go back and I check, that there's gonna be massive complaints from Joe Manchin about how much federal spending and your concerns about hurting constituents and boosting inflation by spending $9 trillion in the same amount of time, right? I'm gonna find that. I'm gonna find that. The answer is no, of course not. Balkanized Biden. and head for the hills. I don't have hills, unfortunately. And for us to go down a path that we've been going and trying to accelerate it, and it has been slowed down, I think we need to take our time and do it right. Okay, here's the problem. You don't have time. Okay? You do not have time. You have but a couple of months to figure it out before campaigns get into full swing, before people start thinking about the midterms, in which case you will be swept. Your party will be swept. And then what? And then what? Then you get nothing. Then you get just about F all, right? You get swept out of office in 2022. Nothing happens for the next 2 years. Because nothing happened, people aren't going to turn out in 2024. And then you're going to have a GOP-controlled Senate, House, presidency. Over a quarter of the federal judiciary was appointed and approved by McConnell's Senate at the time. A clear conservative Supreme Court. Yeah, so... yeah, buddy, you have about a few months to get your collective-ish together. Very bothered that Florida banned ranked choice voting. We need to change that. The only thing that matters in the US is changing to change to ranked choice voting. That is certainly something that is incredibly crucial and would be massive in my opinion, I think. I think that the ability to have ranked choice voting to further democratize the system that we have is a step in the right direction. But hey, at least they're protecting your voting weight. But then they also no, they're not doing that one either. I can't handle this level of disingenuousness. We can only organize so quickly. Things need to get done now. That's right. Things need to get done now. Because this is the opportunity. This is the Hail Mary that people voted on in 2020. This is the reason why all of these things happened and all of these things fell in line. Because there was a understanding that, look, this is the crossroads, okay? This is the crossroads. This is your chance. This is your last, basically last play of the game. And what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Because climate change, especially when it comes to climate change, this is it. This is it. There's no other, that's it. Game, set, match. Nothing else. Because, of course, once the midterms are over, the Democratic Party will not be in power. So we get 2 more years of inaction, in which case people are gonna not show up because of all of this inaction. And in 2024, I suspect that a GOP candidate will win, depending on who the Dems run, which I don't trust that either. So the GOP is going to win the presidency in 2024, cement the majority in the House and the Senate, the Supreme Court, and which then, we get another 4 years of complete inaction, because we know that the GOP party as a whole, the overwhelming majority of the GOP party, is just in la la land when it comes to climate change. By the time there's another choice, by the time there's another election to replace the GOP incumbent at that time, it'll be 2028, folks. That's the problem. By the time we have a chance to replace the GOP candidate at that time, it'll be 2028. Unacceptable. Schumer, Pelosi, and other Democrats are scrambling to get the reconciliation bill, which includes an area of social spending priorities, such as federal assistance for childcare, expanded kindergarten finished by Thanksgiving. Okay, I hate the framing of like social spending. Everything in the government is social spending. Jesus Christ. They're making it seem like this is like a massive, spooky word. Democratic leaders plan to pass it without any Republican support under the special budget reconciliation rules that allow them to circumvent a Senate filibuster. But Manchin said the Republican wins in Virginia and the close race in New Jersey are calling that strategy into question. No. It's the opposite. It's because you are not being bold. Because you're not being, you're not delivering on the promises that your party platform ran on. That's why people are losing interest, or worse, they're just turning their backs on you, and rightfully so. We have a divided country that needs to be united and can't unite it by just doing it by one party system. Wait, were you saying that the same when Republicans had the capacity and used the budget reconciliation multiple times, that used the Republican majority to ram and shoehorn hundreds of judges? Were you saying that? Were you saying that then? Holy yikes, this is unbelievably frustrating. Unbelievably frustrating. It's not about doing things by just one party system, okay? That's not a thing. Okay? We're not doing things by a one party system. We gave you the bipartisan infrastructure, okay? Now, here comes the budget reconciliation, which is your chance because your party is the one that was elected for that purpose. Your party wasn't installed. Your party was elected based on those platforms, those based on those promises in your party platform. Idealist doesn't think that changing people's material conditions would change their politics. Wait, what? We just need to download more parties and install new RAM. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, Kyle, something like that. An update. An update to our system. Mainly through, as Memo for the Record said, ranked choice voting would be a step forward. I realize that when it comes to democratizing, when it comes to like dire straits like like we're facing right now, the answer is always more democracy. In my opinion, the answer is more democracy. We need to find a way to further democratize this barely qualifying democracy. I mean, like, it's a sham. So Manchin doesn't think that improving people's lives won't unite them and seeing their lives are better now, winning over people to more. Right, he doesn't understand that because he's a conservative. He doesn't understand that. Or maybe he does and just doesn't care. Some Democrats, such as Tim Kaine and Martin Heinrich, are saying that the slow pace of progress on the Build Back Better Act, which has in turn delayed passage of the bipartisan infrastructure bill, hurt Democrats in Virginia. But Manchin says he doesn't support speeding up negotiations on the broader reconciliation package just because of the political setbacks. He said it's a message to slow things down. No, it's the opposite, buddy. You're on a time crunch. You're on a time crunch. You need to make this happen. I understand that, he said when he asked about colleagues who argued Democrats need to pick up the pace in the wake of the Virginia race. We just have a difference of agreement on that. Wait, I'm sorry. Okay. Just gonna take this real slow. Okay? Just real slow. We're chill? Good? Okay. How the fuck are you absolutely not seeing the problem here? Holy shit. Okay, so the problem here is because he feels like what? We need to slow down and we just have a quote difference of agreement? Bro, the majority of the country is in unison of the things that are needed. Okay, the majority of the country, yes, even Republican voters are in agreement that things need to be fixed. Okay, they are on board with things like expanding child tax credits, expanding eye care, dental care, hearing aids for seniors. They are on board with the idea of expanding pre-K, VPK. They are on board with the idea of tuition-free, 2 years of tuition-free college. All of these things are wildly popular. The only thing that we have a difference on is reality. And they have the money. Also, increasing taxes for billionaires is a pretty big, is pretty popular too. The majority of people are perfectly fine if people making over $400,000 and particularly billionaires are taxed more. Nobody is against that except the billionaires themselves. That's it. Right, 700 people. Manchin warned that voters are especially worried about the prospects of major tax increases being included in the reconciliation bill, even though Biden and his authors are adamant that the tax hikes won't affect people earning less than $400,000 a year. Yeah, who are these people who have massive concerns about the prospect of major tax increases? Because yes, it is true that there's going to be major tax increases, but to who? Okay? To who? The average West Virginian, I highly doubt that the majority of West Virginians are making $400,000 or more a year. Okay? And if you're crying or worried about like billionaires being taxed a little bit more, that's also incorrect, because the majority of people are quite comfortable with increasing taxes for the uber wealthy. That's right, 700 people could be put out a tiny bit for the rest. Yeah, and they'll still be uber unnecessarily wealthy. Okay? I mean, yeah, we can either tax them or eat them, your choice. In Roblox. We're talking about revamping the entire tax code? Bro. This isn't revamping the entire tax code. This would be rolling back to square one, where we had the Obama tax codes. That's mammoth. We've had no hearings, no open hearings. They're scared to death. He argued that the House Democrats need to immediately pass the bipartisan infrastructure bill, which he helped negotiate, and the Senate passed this summer. Yeah, no. The House really needs to truly pass the infrastructure bill. That's something that's proven. Proven what? Proven to what? Proven to what? The legislation has broad bipartisan support and would bring an estimated $6 billion in federal assistance to West Virginia. Okay. Here's the problem. While it is true that these things are necessary, the crucial elements of the Build Back Better agenda are also necessary. Okay? He said Democratic leaders can't ignore people's concerns about overspending and inflation to try to make it up for by plowing federal money into new social programs. Except when you pour money into a robust social safety net program, you get a very good return on investment, because it turns out it's actually very beneficial for the economy when we invest in things like education, when we invest in things in like new technology, when we expand healthcare. These are all very good and have good return on investment. Furthermore, again, the government isn't a business. Imagine if the revolutionaries over the century had the internet. I don't know. Many a revolution have been nonviolent. It's the counter-revolution, the civil war that is bloody. Yeah, I'm not too hyped up about that because I get very worried when it comes to talking like that because, just saying, the people who are frothing at the mouth for that to happen aren't the kind of people you want to, aren't the kind of people that we're prepared to handle. Let's just put it that way. The kind of people who are frothing at the mouth and who are ready at any given moment to start Robloxing. Dems, lefties are a lot. These changes that we want should win over a large swath of folks. Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. You've got to win the support of the people. Progressive policies do speak for themselves. Yeah, I agree. I think that majority of people are quite on board with progressive policies as is. I think it's that we're so hyper fixated on the fact that if a progressive policy comes from, I don't know, a Democratic candidate, then all of a sudden it's like this scary, like, it's the scary socialist takeover of America, right? But if you decouple that and you put a progressive policy up to a vote, like in, for example, ballot initiatives, then suddenly people will vote for it. People will vote for it. People are completely fine with like expanding things like social safety nets and stuff like that. The problem goes where if it's proposed by a Democrat, then it's like the socialist takeover of America and blah 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 blah. Bernie was focused on getting people to vote over switching parties. He knew that, but still didn't win. Yeah. Half the population doesn't even vote. That's also a problem. That's why we're in the situation that we're on. Remember, folks, to have a functioning democracy, you need strong institutions. You need transparency, transparent institutions, and you need inclusivity. You need people to participate. Anyways, yeah, this is unbelievable to me. We need to be cognizant of that. We can't just say we can do this, and this will take care of it. Wait, no. What? No. You need to produce results now. Okay? Stabilize the situation. Okay? The more time you sit here and do nothing, which is clearly your intent. Your intent is to do nothing. At least for President Joe Manchin. His intent is to do nothing. That is not acceptable. That is just not an acceptable course. They don't have anything to vote for, and they've been effed over for a long time. That's right. That's right. If you want people to vote for you, okay, you need to give them something to vote for. It's gonna take time, especially with people dragging their feet. That's right. And like, I would normally be like, okay, look, we're in this for the long haul. I get it. We'll chip away at things, you know. Okay, we'll chip away. We'll try to move towards a universal healthcare system as we go. We'll try to get like universal tuition-free college as we go, things like that. Fine. I'm not picky when it comes to playing the long game. Except when it comes to climate change. We don't have that. Okay? We don't have that. That's my problem. When it comes to climate change, we don't have that luxury. Okay? We don't have the luxury of like making this, oh yeah, we can just like lay down the groundwork slowly and eventually, maybe, probably at some point. That's not acceptable anymore. That's pretty funny, Callow and Heat. Alright, so yeah, cute animal video. That's TLDR. Okay, that's the problem with this whole thing. That's the problem with this whole thing. When it comes to climate change, we just don't have that time.
Hey everyone,
Whoa. Listen, if I get DMCA'd for this, I don't care. Santa is a communist? True. If I get DMCA'd for this, I don't care. This is by far one of the best cutest animal videos that I've seen.
Keep absolutely still. This vision is based on movement.
I'm sorry, that was a good meme. Okay, that was a good meme. Arguing about bills is the Congress thing to do. True. But usually, they would argue with the other opposition party, not against themselves. I love Owl Kitty. Yeah, I didn't know about this. It came up on my on my feed. This is great. Hold on. I also owe, I think, Kal-El an extra cat video because an extra cute animal video because I did say there's going to be a 2-for-1 special. So I need to pay up on that one. Alright, let's see. Oh, this is so cute.
He loves playing hide and seek and fetch with Heidi and Lab. They're good friends. She's the youngest as well.
Thank you, good sir. Yeah, I think this is necessary today.
They just got fond of each other, so it's a perfect match. Normally, if we're going to the river,
Otter
we go
pugs.
outside his cave, knock when he comes peeking out. When we're out walking, he always stays with the pugs. We heard a squeaking noise in our garden. We went outside, took a look, and there he was. We could clearly see that he hadn't eaten in a while, so we thought a lot about it and took him in. We called the wildlife patrol. They got back
Boston?
to us the
I
next
don't
day.
know. It said
Didn't really know
didn't
what
it say
to do,
Norway? I don't
so
know.
we kind of figured out most of it ourselves. We Googled everything. We figured out they stay 1 year with their mother to learn to hunt and fend
Oh,
for
Boston
themselves.
Terriers.
So our
I
plan
got you.
was to keep him till spring. In the start, we had a leash on him so he wouldn't run away. But then one night, we were cleaning our garden and he ran off. We didn't see him. We went inside and hoped for the best. Suddenly, he stood outside
Drew.
our door, squeaking again, wanted to come in.
Aw.
From that point, we've just opened our door. Now he basically lives outside and comes and goes as he likes. We also found out they're scared of water when they're tiny, so they don't know how to swim.
That's right,
We did that
Kal-El, and
gradually
he-
by going to the river and small streams and just getting used to being in the water. We took it day by
Yes,
day.
Surfer McGurdy. The dodo is always good when it comes to animal videos. It's always about like rescued animals and things like
Now
that.
he's more comfortable in the water than outside of the water. He's faster, he holds his breath longer. We started catching
Aw.
fish in the river as well. They're small, but they're still fish, and he eats them, so he knows what to do and what to do with them. We were really happy to see that. That was a big win for us. It's a lot easier now that he's starting to be more outside. He's getting more restless, so we can't do anything. To
Oh my God.
anymore. He needs to go outside and run around for himself. He
Drew.
Like, comment, and subscribe.
Aw. Cute. Pelosi said Democrats adding paid family leave. Oh wait, actually, I just realized it's past 10:30. I need to take a quick break and get up and walk around. I needed that, thanks, of course. We all need a little dose of cute animal videos, right? I hate when dogs are bred to look cute for our entertainment with all these health problems. Yeah, that's true. That's right. That's very sad, as he and Kal-El posted. I need to take a quick break and walk around. I will be right back. We've got plenty of stuff to go through. Hang tight. Sorry about that. Maybe I should have like an extra cam that shows me during the break taking a little stretch. Oof. Alright, so let's continue, folks. We still have quite the gauntlet left, so I think we can do it. I think we can do it. Pelosi said Democrats adding paid family leave back into the social spending bill, fate in the Senate unclear. House Speaker Pelosi announced in a letter to colleagues on Wednesday that Democrats will add paid family and medical leave back into their social spending bill, but soon after Democratic Senator President Joe Manchin called the move a challenge. Wait, what's challenging about this? Explain. Democrats had initially called for 12 weeks of leave, but it was cut down to 4 before being dropped altogether. Cool, now you get F all. Nice. Nice meme. Last week after President Joe Manchin raised concerns. Concerns that working class people will get paid family leave and medical leave. Very, very, very concerning for President Joe Manchin, apparently. I'll start using Channel Point for exercise. Two birds stoned at once. Yeah, I could put channel points. Actually, channel points for oh man, Darknet suggested this the other day. I think it was exactly that for stretching or for exercise. I think that's right. I need to do that. Now, Pelosi saying it's back in the bill with a source familiar confirming to ABC News it will be 4 weeks of paid family and medical leave. Okay. However, from the Senate aide, a source told ABC News that the addition of paid family and medical leave is far from reality. Cool. Pelosi acknowledges obstacles ahead in the upper chamber in her Dear Colleague letter. Because I've been informed by a senator of opposition to a few of the priorities contained in our bill, because we must have legislation agreed to by the House and the Senate in the final version of the Build Back Better Act. I think that at this point we can safely say that there's nothing. This isn't building anything. This isn't building back. We can't even build back. The one thing to reverse like the tax, the increases in taxes for the wealthy, we can't even build back to that. That was sent to the president's desk. We must strive to find common ground in the legislation. Hey, here's some common ground. Do you guys want to win or not? Holy shit. Ah, damn. Yeah, there's a hydrate and stretch in left flank vets. That's a good idea. Do cartwheels. Do a barrel roll. I used to be able to do cartwheels. I'm not sure I could do that right now. I could try. I could maybe put like an overhead... use my phone. I could use my phone as an overhead camera. You could try to watch me faceplant in an attempt to do a cartwheel. Yeah, that's right. Paid leave is lazy. You don't need it. My daughter won a stuffed pig in a claw machine yesterday. It was dressed in a tux. I called it a bank. Hey, that's kind of cute though. That's very rare. So your daughter's very lucky. Walking into the Capitol Wednesday morning, Pelosi told reporters that she is very sad over Democrats' loss in Virginia's race, but she said his loss does not change Democrats' agenda in the House, and it is not the reason to push to bring back the paid leave measure. I don't know about that. So this is kind of telling on yourself, right? They realize like, holy yikes, we need to produce results. We need to produce results, and we need to produce them now. And so now they're scrambling to produce anything when they could have just done a robust package from the beginning, had it done ready right before these crucial races, and chances are you would have been able to at least go to voters and say, look, this is what we did. You can see the impacts firsthand. But no. Nope, none of that materialized. None of that materialized. Old man can literally just pick up a pen and at least 2 popular policies enacted. Good. He could. He could. Manchin, meanwhile, did not explicitly say that he would vote against the package if paid leave is included, but when asked about it shortly afterwards, surfaced on Wednesday, he remained strongly opposed to it being included in the reconciliation package, a process Senate Democrats are using to avoid a Republican filibuster, and vice versa, by the way. This isn't just like a Democratic tactic, but a tactic that requires all 50 Democratic votes, including President Manchin's. He told reporters he was unaware of the newly announced plan to include it in the package, but that the House colleagues were familiar with his position on it. I just think it's the wrong place to put it because it's... Wait. What? I think it's the wrong place to put it because it's a social expansion? Repeating his concerns about the cost. It is a budget reconciliation package. It's to allocate funds for things. What did you think that the budget reconciliation was used for? Oh my god. The more I read about this, the more I get giga triggered. Can President Biden sign orders like Trump did if there is finance Can President Biden sign orders like Trump did if there's finances involved? I think that there are options that the president can take. I don't think that he has like, obvious unilateral authority, but he does have some measures that he could take himself. He has the ability to take certain actions himself. That is true. Don't worry, Susan Collins will save us this time. Right, Department of Education reports to the executive it's a policy authority. Yeah. So he can basically move in that direction, but he chooses not to. Biden can free Assange and the other guy too? Yes, I think so. I don't know. To be honest, I'm not gonna say that. I don't know. Biden can do a lot of things, especially thanks to Bush, but the parliamentarian won't let him. That's right. It has to be executive department. Has to be an executive department, and it can only move funds around instead of procuring new funds. Gotcha. But okay, I see. They don't have to be involved at all. It's the funniest thing. It's an executive order. Right. I mean, I think that there are definite actions that the president can take, and he's just choosing not to. Is the TLDR of that. He's just choosing not to. I think he even mentioned that he wants to do it through legislative process. The contrast that I see is Trump's everlasting signing piles of executive orders. Yeah, that's true. He did sign a lot of executive orders. The Representative Richard Neal of Massachusetts, chairman of the House and Ways and Means Committee, said in a statement that paid family and medical leave will be fully paid for, and it is means tested. Jesus Christ. We do this responsibly, but fully paying for the means tested program. Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, the lead sponsor of the family paid leave effort in the Senate, told ABC News that she's very excited it's back in the bill and that she plans to speak to Manchin about it. Speaker Pelosi, I think, has decided it's essential for the country and for the workers to be able to rebound, and I trust the Speaker. I trust her judgment. Well, it's also just incredibly popular and the right thing to do. Holy why is this so hard? Hold on, folks. You're supposed to do things because they're the right thing to do for the country. I don't trust Pelosi or Gillibrand's judgment for shit, but I am glad that it's being put back in. Maybe if they get this passed, they can retain one of the executive branches in 2022. Maybe. Maybe, but it also kind of flies in the face of the asinine takes that President Joe Manchin has been saying that, oh, well, Virginia lost because something progressives are moving too quickly, or this is a testament as to why we need to slow things down. Meanwhile, Pelosi is probably in damage control saying, holy yikes, we need to do something. And is now rushing to try to get something done. That being said, it is important, it needs to be included, it should be included just simply because it's the right thing to do. I do agree with you, Surfer McGritty. Like the House or the Senate, yeah. And the problem being here is, should they not produce results, they're gonna get swept. That's why Pelosi's trying to scramble to include this. She knows. She's got to know. She's been in this game for quite some time. She knows. She knows. I gave you another capitalism is dead and replaced with techno-feudalism. Go feel that is relevant here. Yeah, Astro, I wish I had time to play that on stream, but I don't. So instead, I'm going to repost the link in chat again, because I feel like that's very, very important. There you go. Manchin, however, has for days said he's concerned about insolvency in Medicare and Medicaid. Wait, this is like a constant conservative trope. I understand. From what I understand, I think that Medicare, Medicaid are on their own separate things, aren't they? They're already like fully funded with taxes. This is a non-issue. This is a non-issue. Get rid of the payroll tax caps? Yeah. Yeah. And on Monday, he has had social expansions beyond those programs for things like paid leave is aspirational. While he ultimately said he supports paid leave, he wants to see it shepherded through in a separate bill, not in reconciliation. We're trying to force it through reconciliation, which has guardrails and rules and regulations. He said, let's do it right. Let's do it and do it right and not do it in this. What? Okay. You find me 10 Republicans. You find me 10 Republicans that are going to, you find me 10 Republicans that are going to be on board with this through the normal process. I found Yanis Varoufakis' points very cogent. Many people have not awakened to techno-feudalism. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of here, isn't it? Kind of. You start to really think about it. If you kind of start to think about it, it's kind of here. Oh, at least the early stages. So only 5% of the population can use it, right? I want the means tested so that only 5% of the population can use it. Fund payroll and raise the limits, and fund Social Security. It's simple, but conservatives don't want to do it. Yeah, exactly. So that's exactly my point, Alio. Exactly. So he wants to do it through he wants to do it through not through budget reconciliation. He wants to do it through regular legislation. Okay? The problem is, how are you going to find the 10 Republicans that are going to agree with you? You're not. Progressives have said they trust Biden to deliver 51 Senate votes he promised on the larger social spending and climate bill, and Biden predicted Manchin would support that in a speech on Tuesday, despite Manchin expressing new concerns. Of course, there's always new concerns. Manchin said on Wednesday that the House will ultimately do what the House does, and the Senate will need to work through the bill deliberately. Pelosi said the updated bill text for social spending plan will be released later Wednesday, and she anticipates the House Rules Committee. The House Rules Committee will meet later in the day to debate the legislation and prepare it for votes on the House floor. In a subtle message to House moderates, well, it depends, who are demanding that at least 72 hours to read the bill text, Pelosi also noticed that the text initially was released 6 days ago, meaning that they've had plenty of time to read up. Okay. Based on Pelosi's letter, it's clear Democratic leadership intends to vote on both the already Senate-passed bipartisan infrastructure bill and the social spending bill. Democrats plan to pass along through the reconciliation this week. Yeah, so it sounds to me like they're getting ready to pass both of these bills, and it seems to me like a lot of the important and crucial things are going to be out, and yeah. Control X. The Republicans have already said they will block Dems at every turn. That's also true. Yeah, so, yeah, I get what Alio is saying, though. But, you know, I just don't see it. I don't see it. I don't see 10 Republicans coming on board doing this in the regular legislative cycle. So, yeah, it's just all, it's all downhill from here, folks. If they can't produce results within the next couple of weeks, by the end, because they allegedly, supposedly, are planning to have this ready before Thanksgiving. I'm not holding my breath. That, to be clear, if they don't produce results, and if they fail in the most crucial areas for this Build Back Better plan, then it's all downhill from here, folks. Strap in, because it's going to be one heck of a ride for the next 4 to 8 years. Wait, what? No need to share this, but just need to share it because it's funny. Alright, hold on. Wait, what? Yeah, that ain't happening. Clearly. Who says people can solve problems? It's the Duolingo app and they aren't okay, apparently. Who says people can solve problems? Clearly. Clearly we have a problem getting our collective-ish together. This is mildly funny. Mildly entertaining. Anyways, TLDR, it looks like they're trying to scramble for anything. And it looks like they're trying to get paid family leave and medical leave in the final bill. And we'll see what President Joe Manchin says. And yeah, don't hold your breath, folks. Don't hold your breath, folks. There are whole nations living below sea level. That is true. Something that we do not have time for. Something that we do not have time for. But, you know, stuff. Alright, folks. This one is going to be a bit dark. So definitely CW. Content warning, definitely. This one's going to be dark. This next story is going to be dark, alright? So just again, CW. CW. This next story is going to be very dark. A Pentagon review found that footage showed child present minutes before the US drone attack in Kabul. A Pentagon review of the US drone strike that killed 10 Afghan civilians, including 7 children. So 7 out of 10 of them were children. On Kabul on August 29, found that video footage showed at least 1 child present 2 minutes before the strike was launched. The review indicated that multiple issues, including execution errors, confirmation bias, and communication breakdowns, led to the mistake drone strike on what was believed to be an ISIS-K group bomber. It seems to be a common theme, right? This isn't like a one of, just to be clear. Just to be clear, this isn't like a one of, okay? This same incident, this same story, can probably be found throughout the entirety of our operations overseas. And here's where it gets really effed. At the time of the hit, the strike team was unaware of the presence of children at the targeted site. The review found that surveillance footage just prior to the missile launch showed at least 1 child. According to Air Force Inspector General, Lieutenant General Sammy said. A fact sheet issued Wednesday about the review said the assessment prior to strike of individuals in the target area was inaccurate. According to Saeed, he said he found no evidence of illegal action and that individuals directly involved in the strike believed at the time they were targeting an imminent threat. Hey, that's really neat. I guess, Jesus Christ. How do you justify that? Oh, I'm sorry. It's our B. It's our B. Okay? See, we believed at the time that we were targeting an imminent threat, therefore it's okay. Okay? Not that this is like a one-off incident, but this has been a repeated pattern throughout our operations in the Middle East, in our operations in the Middle East. And it's not the first time that has happened where we made mistakes. And this one was abhorrent. But, you know, it's okay. Because the individuals directly involved in the strike believed at the time that they were targeting an imminent threat. Quote, it's not lost on us the severity of the outcome and the fact that we killed 10 Afghan... You didn't just kill 10 Afghan civilians. You killed 7 children. Okay? You didn't just kill 10 Afghan civilians. You killed 7 children. And clearly, the severity of the outcome is time and time again absolutely lost on you, as this is not the first time. And Bainadol was a Western interpreter. Yeah, he was an ally. He was an ally who was working for, I believe, an NGO. I believe you're correct. Saeed did not recommend sanctions for those involved, of course not. But commanders who receive the full report have the option of deciding on any discipline or accountability options. The full report was not made available to the public. While this investigation had the benefit of considerable time to assess information during the strike, those executing it didn't. What is clear now is understandably less so in real time. So then that indicates an entirety of the problem with the whole drone system to begin with, because it's not the first time that something like this has happened. The moment you had a unbelievable F up, that should have been shut down. The moment there was an unbelievable F up, the first one, that shit should have been shut down. The strike was launched 3 days after a deadly suicide bombing outside Kabul that killed 13 military members, US military members, and scores of Afghan civilians in August. The United States had intelligence that ISIS-K was plotting an attack against the airport using a white Toyota Corolla. They began tracking the wrong vehicle after it showed up at a known ISIS-K location. The vehicle, its contents, and occupants, and intended target of the strike were assessed at the time as an imminent threat to US forces. Pentagon officials called the assessment, which is primarily driven by interpretation of intelligence and observed movement of the vehicle and occupants over an 8-hour period, regrettably inaccurate. Regrettably inaccurate? Regrettably inaccurate? The explosives used in the previous attack on the airport were believed to have been transported in a computer bag, according to Saeed. One of the factors that led to confirmation bias prior to the US drone strike was seeing a computer bag in the car. As it turns out, we can affirm it was just a computer bag. What? This is an unbelievably unacceptable. Oops. Might be. I remember the movie that dealt with this kind of thing. It focused on child. Yes, I think that I saw that movie. I believe I know what you're talking about. I think I saw it on Netflix. Again, Astro, it's not the first time. It's not the first time. And all we show for it is, oops, sorry, our B. The report commissioned by the Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin recommends steps to prevent future mistakes in self-defense drone strikes where evidence is gathered. Oh yeah, so self-defense means preemptive strikes without preemptive strikes based on what? That's not self-defense. That's actually not how self-defense works at all. U.S. military conducts very few such strikes and had done no similar strikes in the prior 4 months. Okay, but during our entire operations in the Middle East, drone strikes were quite common and often devastating to civilians. Alio, thank you for the 10 biddies. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. The recommendations were to implement procedures to mitigate the risk of confirmation bias, to enhance sharing of situational awareness before the strike team and other teams, and to review pre-strike procedures used to assess presence of civilians. Or, because this has gone south time and time again, shut this entire thing down. If it can't be confirmed, and you continue to make mistakes, killing civilians, and the only thing that your response is to be like, well, might be, we'll try better next time. That's not good enough. That is unacceptable. That is not okay. That is beyond abhorrent. That is not normal. That is not okay. Saeed noted that the confirmation bias is particularly a factor in this scenario. These measures will go a long way to greatly mitigate the risk of this happening again because they all contributed to the ultimate strike. Irrelevant. In my opinion, this should have already been shut down. Yikes. I do not dispute that, Astro. I do not dispute that. Anyways, moving on because that was a bit dark. Biden denies plan to pay separated migrant families up to $450K. President Joe Biden slammed Fox News correspondent Peter Doocy on Wednesday over asking about a Wall Street Journal report last week that Biden administration is considering giving illegal immigrant families who were separated from their children around $450,000 per person. So now I guess he's gonna, he said that that's not going to happen. But I don't think that that's Biden's, like, call, isn't it? Because, like, I don't know how this is going to play out, but just from my understanding, and anyone can correct me if I'm wrong, please, I am not 100% clear, but it sounds like to me that based on the reporting we read last time, the situation is, well, this is a civil litigation that's happening right now against the U.S. government, right? This is completely separate. This is a civil litigation that's being handled right now in courts. So I don't know if Biden even has a say in this. I don't even know if he has a say in this. Because the original Fox News and right-wing narrative was that he was just like giving out money. He was just giving free $450,000 per person. Just come here and you'll get $450,000. No. The Biden administration, well, the government, the U.S. government, is only put in this position because of a civil matter that's happening right now. That's it. So I don't know how this is going to turn out. To my knowledge, this was a attempt to settle civil litigations by giving people this payout instead of continuing to go to court. That's it. From my understanding. Again, if I am wrong or something new happens, then we'll report on that. But that's how I understand it. Alright, so really quickly, kind of in a speed run, Cinema Mansion pumped the brakes on a proposed fee for methane emissions, the second largest contributor to global greenhouse gas emissions. So we can't even get that. Democrats are struggling to salvage climate change provisions in the Biden administration's Build Back Nothing, including a proposed fee on methane emissions that Senator Kyrsten Sinema is currently questioning and undecided on. Additional members of Congress and President Joe Manchin, Henry Cuellar, and multiple Texas Democrats have outright opposed the fee, even as President Biden joined more than 90 governments in signing a pledge to significantly reduce methane emissions. Hey, guys, he signed a pledge. Guys, he signed a pledge, and he said cool things. Yeah, so unbelievable to me. Cinema and Manchin absolutely need to be primaried. I feel like an even standard Dem would probably be to their left. Yeah, these aren't like moderates. Despite their continuous, I guess, how do I say this? Media, how do I put this? Despite the media consistently painting them as moderates, these are not moderates. Hey, Bread Crochet, how's it going? I hear methane is 800 times worse. I forget the exact amount, but it is significantly worse. It is very, very bad. And should be one of the most immediate targets to even have a chance. It should be one of the most immediate targets. I think they're both up for re-election in 2024. Yep, that is true. So they're just basically telling everybody to go F themselves because they're not up for election now. But however, I do agree that they need to be primaried. He's been negotiating with Manchin, called the proposal an unreasonable punitive fee on natural gas and oil companies. You know what? F these people. I don't care. I don't care what the oil and gas companies have to say about it. This would be, I think, the last article. Really quickly. Greenland's ice sheet is melting so fast it's raising sea levels and creating global flood risks. Hey! And guess where ground zero is going to be? The East Coast. Florida. So yeah, clearly it is a problem. Greenland's ice sheet is melting at a much higher rate than originally thought. And as well as more observations show that extreme melt events in Greenland have become more frequent, more intense, as well as more erratic, which is a global problem. Not just for Greenland. The team used satellite data from the European Space Agency to estimate the elevation of the ice sheet. First time a space object has been able to do so, the team found that from 2011 to 2020, the runoff of Greenland's ice sheet averaged about 357 billion tons a year. That would, on average, raise the global sea level a millimeter a year, but during that time, 2 years, 2012 and 2019, experienced exceptionally more runoff than others, as extreme weather led to record-breaking levels of ice melting. In 2019, the runoff was about 527 billion tons. The discovery comes after the National Snow and Ice Date Center said the sheet's summer melt increased 30% from 1979 to 2006 because of higher temperatures. Which we know how that came to be. Greenland is also vulnerable to an increasing extreme in weather events, said lead author Thomas Slater. As our climate warms, it is reasonable to expect that the instances of extreme melting in Greenland will happen more often. Observations such as these are important steps in helping us improve climate models and better predict what will happen this century. Slater added, there are reasons to feel optimistic about not losing as much ice in the future, right, depending on what we do. But his colleague and co-author Amber Leeson painted a darker future. Leeson said that in 2100, global sea levels can rise from anywhere to 1 to 9 inches because of melting, which could be dangerous to coastal cities around the world. It may not look like much, but it is massive. I have a friend who's from West Virginia. She said that Manchin's the only Dem that can win in West Virginia. Well, like, okay, what apparently everyone complains about him, but he's the only one that can win? Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Although it was not included in the study, evidence shows that this past summer was already a significant one for the ice sheet. In August, it rained on the summit for the first time since weather recording began in 1950. Yeah. Totally not ringing alarm bells here. That being said, oh, come on. Here we are. Yeah, we do need to back away from the coast. Sea levels will continue to rise over the next century as a result of climate change, which could drastically alter the lives of 127 million people in the US who live in the coastal areas. We do need to back away from the coast. Christian Brandon, climate scientist at NASA's Goddard Institute for Space Studies, said at Yahoo's Finance All Markets Summit. What I think we need to do is actually proactively set up areas with affordable housing before the real estate market catches up and kind of fully understands the risk of the cost. And the risk on the coast. Too many human beings living on the coast right now are exposed to just exorbitant amount of climate risk, right? This is what people don't realize, and I've said this before. You can probably go back to the YouTubes. I don't know if it's still on here, but people here in Florida, especially in South Florida, haven't really come to grips with the reality of what it means to deal with climate change, because it hasn't like kicked in full gear. Not as much, not enough. It's been creeping up on us, but when it hits and people realize what's happening, it'll be too late. Who are they going to sell the house to? How are they going to sell the house to? To whom? Nobody's going to buy any houses when they realize that it's going to be underwater. You're going to be left with nothing. That's the TLDR of this. Climate change is real and it's here, and these are the consequences. US oil giants top list of lobby offenders holding back climate action. Wow, surprise Pikachu face. ExxonMobil and Chevron are the world's most obstructive organizations when it comes to government setting climate policies, according to research into the prolific and highly sophisticated lobbying ploys used by the fossil fuel industry. The biggest U.S. oil companies, as well as American Petroleum Institute, a lobby group, were found to be the worst offenders in a global report by lobbying experts and the think tank Influence Map. It concluded that companies were manipulating governments to take incredibly dangerous paths in their approach to climate action. Oil giants have mounted intense resistance to Joe Biden's green agenda, according to the report, and U.S. President's administration attempt to shift the country away from fossil fuels. The report, published on Thursday before the COP26 climate summit in Glasgow to accelerate the transition from fossil fuels to clean energy, it also came a week after ExxonMobil's chief executive Darren Woods was accused of lying to the U.S. Congress when he denied that the company had covered up its own research about its oil contributions to the climate crisis. Yikes. The report said that corporate lobbying tactics in part have explained why regulators in such countries like Australia have struggled to build support for far more ambitious climate policy in the lead up to COP26 and were increasingly viewed as a roadblock in global negotiations. Toyota was the worst ranked car maker and the third overall in the report, which drew from more than 50,000 pieces of evidence covering hundreds of the world's most significant firms and trade groups to analyze corporate climate lobbies. The report put Toyota as among the worst polluting companies in the world because of its opposition to phase out deadlines for fossil fuel and hybrid vehicles. Edward Collins, the director of Influence Map, said it was clear that transition to clean energy future would remain extremely challenging until governments took meaningful action to tackle the obstructive, anti-science lobbying of vested interests from the fossil fuel value chain sectors. Yeah. Aquaman, true. Yes, this is, the TLDR is exactly that, Kal-El. Poo, climate, poo, P, change, P. Yep, exactly. The think tank's report noted a strong shift among fossil fuel companies towards pro-gas lobbying and away from coal. This includes lobbying from BP, which is 9th on the global list. Austrian energy company OMV, which was 10th, and the Russian state-owned gas giant Gazprom, which was 17th. A spokesman for Exxon says there are competing views about how best to address the risk of climate change. ExxonMobil supports certain climate policies and opposes others. Nice meme. Press X the doubt chat, but it would be a mistake to equate such policy disagreements with the promotion of climate disinformation. Except, ExxonMobil in particular has been found repeatedly to hide, obfuscate, lie about the realities of climate change multiple times. Multiple times. It's not... The corporate playbook for holding back climate policy has come a long way from science denialism, but it is every bit as damaging. What we are seeing is not limited to efforts to undermine regulations directly. It also involves prolific and highly sophisticated narrative capture techniques, leading governments down incredibly dangerous paths. That is literally the TLDR of that. Alright folks, we did it. We made it through the gauntlet. Unfortunately, I do have to get going. I appreciate you guys hanging out today. Thank you, Darknet. Thank you, Spread It Forward. Appreciate it. Thank you for your support, folks. Thank you for all the new follows. Thank you, Alio, for the biddies. I appreciate it. And folks, if you guys enjoy the content, don't forget to hit the follow button. We are here Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And join us on Saturdays for Saturday Catterdays, around noon Eastern Time. If you're on the YouTubes, don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and all that other stuff. It really does help us out. Join the Discord at !Discord in chat. Wait, see if I can do it. !Discord. Join that to keep up with the channel. As always. And folks, if you're on Twitch, don't forget to hit that follow button on your way out. You get cool little emotes and stuff, right? As always, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. Love y'all, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. See ya! Oof, that was a bit rough, chat. So, yeah, let's just chill. Let's go to Ben's channel. Wait. If Tina's live? Oh, I think she's taking a break. Okay, let's go to Ben's channel. Chill vibes. Alright, let's do some chill vibes. Alright, folks, we're heading out in... Oh, I appreciate that, Astro. We're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go.